What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest and special edition of the Rich and Turbo Heavy Half Hour. My name is Rich. Find me on X at FuzzDoomRip and at Rich.Paiva and a bunch of other social media platforms. Doing reviews from Encyclopedia of Metal as a Doom Charts contributor and as the lead singer of Cheapskate Crowd Hate, the new band that you guys will be hearing a lot about very soon.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, Cheapskate Crowd Hate? Crowd Hate Cheapskate?
Cheapskate Hate Crowd.
Hate crowd.
Don't even know the name of my own band, fuckers. Anyway.
Unless you want me to change the t-shirt.
No, the t-shirt will stay, will remain. It's my memory that needs to get better. Anyway, what's up, everybody? I have Turbo here. Turbo, hello.
Hello. It's Camp Edition.
I was wondering why you guys are looking at me so funny. I'm like, why are
Oh,
you guys
man,
looking at me? That's a great shirt. And also, we're doing our quarter 2 of 2025 review. So we have social media personality and sensation Rob in the Hood with us. Rob, what's up?
Well, I was Sasquatch earlier, but I switched it. Now I'm Near Dusk, so.
Also a good option. So shirt checks for everybody. So we're all here to do our top 12 of Q2 for 2025. A very, very strong quarter again. A lot of cool stuff that came out. We'll go through our top 12 because 10 is too small for these guys. And I'll start by saying I probably had a list of like 17 that I debated about. We can go through some of the honorable mentions later, but I think I was at about 17. How Turbo, did you have I know you were struggling, especially when we pushed the show off by a couple of days and you kept finding more albums to add, but how hard was it for you for this quarter?
It wasn't at first. It was just really simple. And then somebody had to post stuff that showed me that I forgot about 5 or 6 albums. And so
thanks, Dan. Shout out to Dan and and him ruining it for everybody. How about you, Rob? What was your list like? I know you put your list together a little bit differently. I'll let you tell everybody for the new listeners. But how hard was it for you to put this one together?
It was difficult in the sense that this quarter was kind of an embarrassment of riches. There was a lot of stuff. That's not a reference to you. There was a lot of stuff that certainly I wanted to include. If we had done a top 25, I could have easily done that. But I changed the way that I was approaching the rankings of things. Previously I would wait until like we were about to do this episode and I would then try and figure out, okay, what was my favorite and just kind of pick and choose. I started ranking everything just because I'm also, as you guys know, I've decided to rank every album that I own. So this project will take several years. So I started ranking everything that I've acquired in this quarter. And because I only rank things that I can get a physical copy of. And with one exception, I did listen to one and rank one that I haven't yet received. That's the Wizzo album, which we were talking about earlier in the week. It's not my top 12, but I did enjoy it, and I did rank it. So, yeah, I'm limited to stuff that gets to me physically.
Excellent. Well, let's jump right in because I know we'll have some overlap, and I know I can probably look at 3 or 4 that probably only I will have on my list. So, Turbo, you want to start? You want to give us your number 12?
Sure. Miss Lava, Under a Black Sun. Small Stone Records from Portugal. I guess they would, what would you label them? They're heavy, they're more intense alt hard rock than I would say like stoner or anything like that. But Miss Lava's been around for just a second or third album. Second?
Might be 4.
4?
It's 3 or 4.
Yeah, it's at least 3. Yeah, this may appear later.
It's funny.
Okay.
The first album that Turbo mentions, we all look at each other like, how many albums do they have? As the experts go through the records of the quarter.
It's called having too much information in your brain.
a very good choice, Turbo. Small Stone had some really good releases in the last, the first half of the year. So what was not on my list, but is will be in my end of year list when we get to that at some point. But a very good choice and a record that I've also enjoyed. Rob, how about you for number 12 on your list?
Number 12 is one that Turbo recently reminded everyone they weren't listening to enough, and that is Satanic Panic Attack by Hand to Me. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly or not, but that's where I'm going to go with it. It was one of the Ripple releases that made my list. The band is from Norway. I got to say that I think I remember Turbo talking about how the music and the lyrics work like an intuitive match. And I kind of agree with that. And I'm having a hard time describing how this record sounds. And it's like if you took a really good set of songs that could have been written in the '80s, and you stuck something like occasionally the Dropkick Murphys, who discovered Satan, into it. That's kind of how this whole thing comes across to me. Just like their last album, the production is great on the album. The sound is really, really good. And there's a lot of really cool stuff that I hear going on musically. And the more I listen to it, I was like, man, this is a really good album.
I would agree with that. That was one of my didn't make the list, but was on the honorable mention list. The thing that I hear on that record, and you can tell me that I'm crazy, but and maybe I just hear this everywhere I go, but I hear like a hard rock band that also has a big hardcore thing going on too. And maybe that's vocals, maybe that's where it's shouted. Sometimes when he sings, there's a band called Fucked Up, a Canadian kind of hardcore band, and they have an album called David Comes to Life, which is one of my favorite albums of the early, I guess it was 2011 came out, so I don't even know what to call that. But it reminds me of that. It's more riff filled. This the Satanic Panic Attack record is more riff filled and fits more with what the bands that we talk about here, and that's a little bit more on the hardcore side. But there's something about those two records that kind of remind me of each other. If you haven't heard David Comes to Life by Fucked Up, it's an excellent record. But that's what it reminds me of, and that record is killer. And Ripple, as usual, having another amazing year. I think we'll talk about some more Ripple records. I know we all will, for sure. My number 12 was On Through the Sky Maze by Ox, AAWKS, in case it sounds like I'm saying Hawks or something else. Turbo and I have talked about this record a bunch. We were surprised at how freaking heavy it was. Really cool people who came on the show and talked to us about the record. And I was just thinking that they were going to go, and without any information, that they were just going to go all trippy and psych on us on this record. But instead they went the opposite direction, just completely crushed everybody with riffs and screams and everything else that they did. But so my number 12 is Ox, On Through the Sky Maze. And what I'll say also, with any of these 12, I probably could have moved them up and down, kind of a slider around with some of these. So it wasn't easy to put somebody at, say, 4 and somebody at 12, because they could really have switched it all up. But that's my number 12. I have a feeling we might hear about that record again. So let's go to Turbo at 11.
Yeah, that was probably mentioned sometime later on.
Yeah.
Oh, my number 11 is Hexecutioner with Torn It. Band out of Seattle. I think this is self-released. Sludge, doomy, heavy, cryptid music. They write about Sasquatch and other stuff up there in the northwest. Yeah, southwest, north. Somewhere out there on the west coast. Where but also Skookum, how do they pronounce that? Has one of my favorite riffs of the year so far.
It's killer. I think we talked about them. They were on their show also, and there isn't. We'll talk about the bias of the bands that come on the show and how many show up on our list. We'll talk about that later. But love the fact that the album was all about the Bigfoot myth and different versions of that. The riffs were killer. Ufa Mammoth comes up in our minds also, I think, that we mentioned with talking with them. And how heavy that record is, and we'll be getting vinyl at some point there. Thank goodness. So yeah, good choice. I think you'll be hearing about that one again too, with one of our lists. Rob, 11.
Number 11, I have Sidonia Mensa. I know you guys talked to Craig Williamson. I'm not sure I pronounced that correctly. I actually meant to look up to see what the background was of the name. I know you guys, he mentioned that it's an interesting background, but I don't think he actually said what it meant on your show. One man
What'd you say?
operation. I said Sidonia Mensa.
The Dead Shrine.
Dead Shrine, sorry.
Yeah, actually, he didn't say the band name. He said the
Yeah.
album.
I didn't know.
He was so worried about making sure he said the album name correctly that he didn't actually say the band name.
Right, that's true. Dead Shrine, the second Dead Shrine album. It's a one-man band. He does everything on there. Pretty heavy stuff. Dig it. I kind of wish that he had a full band. I think that the record would, or the music, I should say, would do well with a full band, especially with the ability to perform it live. Because I think that'd be a good thing for us all. But that's my number 11.
Craig Williamson is a genius, musical genius. The bands that he's in are just, or has been a part of, like Arc of Ascent and Lamp of the Universe, obviously Datura. I think both the Dead Shrine records and the Datura re-release that Todd did on Ripple, I think kind of opened people up to the genius of Craig Williamson and all of those other bands and things he's done. Had some fun stories on the show also. Another record you'll probably hear about from later from one of us or two of us. I don't know.
No, this is one of the ones that I forgot about. And I was not happy about that.
All right. I understand why too. My number 11 is Hot Spring Water and Bremerton Gray, which I believe is Bremerton's a city up where the main songwriter and main guy and just overall awesome gentleman, Tony Reed, is from. The Hot Spring Water, in talking with Tony, sounds like his favorite project that he does now. Like, he just seems to love playing with them. If you don't know Hot Spring Water, it's less Moss Generator and more Allman Brothers, I guess you would say. I don't know if you have a comparison there, but it's definitely more.
I'd say more Bakersfield sound.
Okay, yeah, fair. It's just not your riff heavy, thing that you would expect from Tony Reed playing in Pentagram and Moss, and it's more of his chill kind of Sunday morning, Doobie Brothers, Allman Brothers, and then the stuff that you just said type stuff. So love it. Love his last record, A Hot Spring Water, which wound up, I think, in my top 10 of the year a couple years ago when that record came out. So that's my number 11, the new Hot Spring Water record.
Another album I forgot about.
That's what we're here for, Terrible. Just to remind you of the stuff that you forgot about on your list. What's your number 10?
Hang the Ming, Satanic Panic Attack. I don't know. You didn't mention this, but I think it's considered a concept album completely. So, exploring the whole '80s phenom about that. So, for most of us, all of us, I guess we remember there's a craziness behind that and all the stupid bullshit. But yeah, it's a mix of everything, heavy and riff dosage, full of riffs and stuff like that. So it's a great album.
When the first record of theirs came out on Ripple, I think everyone was a little bit confused. Like, they're like, how does this fit? And it took a little while for me with that one. And I think this one, on my first listen, I was like, how does this all fit? And then it just kind of kicked in and made a whole ton of sense. But it took a second with them, and I think it took a second with people to understand what Todd was probably hearing and seeing by signing these guys. But it's killer.
I think most everybody was scared of the album cover.
Yeah, I'm still a little frightened by it.
I'm not. It's not going to win my best album cover of the year.
Yeah, my number 10 actually could be up there, but let's go with your number 10 first before we do that, Rob.
Okay. I think this is the only EP that I have on the list, because I did include the EP. It's another band that you guys had on the show. I hope I'm not subject to your bias about having appearances on the show, but I guess I am exposed to more things that way. The band, I'll say the band name first this time. It's Tumble. The record is Lost in Light, which is available on vinyl. Sounds great. I love the kind of stripped down feel. It's one of those bands that it kind of feels like guitar straight into the amp with not a whole lot of effects, and that really hits a sweet spot for me. Great playing, great songwriting, something that could have come out of the '70s, and makes me feel good that this kind of thing is still alive and well.
Yeah, I would agree. That's a great EP. Loved having them on the show, except for when Turbo mentioned about America taking over Canada as a joke, which didn't go over all that well, but it was an obvious joke. But, it was a sensitive time. So. All right.
Guess what? Guess what?
What's that? Yeah.
Another album.
Okay. Yeah. Another album you forgot.
Yeah.
It was one that was right up there for me, but didn't quite make it. My number 10. I also want to mention the amount of really killer Canadian bands that are out there right now. We seem to have like 30% of our shows be Canadian bands or something like that, which is kind of crazy. The one that I have at my number 10 is Soul Cellar by Witch Rot, which tends to be heavy and have this like kind of spooky melodicism behind it, which is not a word, but you understand what I mean. When I see the band name Witch Rot, I think it's going to be like this kind of like Weed Eater, kind of just screamy, kind of no melody to it. But what you get are just amazing female vocals, heavy riffs, great songs, and one of my favorite album covers of the year also would be on Soul Cellar. Unfortunately, the vinyl is currently stuck in Canada somewhere, so I don't have it in hand. But I don't have such rules as Rob does, so I can put it on my list at number 10. Witch Rot, Soul Cellar. I'm anxious to hear if Turbo forgot about this one too, or we might hear about this one later.
No, I did not forget about that one.
All right, good, excellent. Okay, that's my number 10. Rolling into number 9. We're in the single digits now. Turbo.
Z28, AM Gold, band from Massachusetts. They're on Residue Records, Oregon-infused heavy rock. This album seems kind of long because it seems like I get halfway through it and I'm like, shit, there's still a half an album to go. But it's all great. It's sounds great to me and everything. But it's one of those.
That may be because the songs themselves aren't necessarily short.
Right.
And I don't think that's a bad thing, unlike some people,
Obviously, Oregon is wonderful in that record. Did we establish, Rob, what car is on the cover of that album? Because I believe you mentioned it.
I'm pretty sure it's a Fiat. Did I say it was a Beata? That sounds right in my brain from what I remember typing. I started looking. My head said it was a Fiat, so I started looking for 1980s era Fiats, and that one seemed to be closest to it. So that's what I'm going with.
As an Italian American and as someone whose parents had a Fiat, and they continually said Fiat stands for Fix It Again, Tony, as an Italian vehicle. I didn't look like the Fiat that we had, but it could very well be Fiat, and I'm not a car guy. But I do love that record. C28, don't they seem like they're some kind of mystery band? I don't think I've ever seen what they look like. I don't know anything about those guys, and they just kind of put a record out, and it's always good. That's just kind of the vibe that I get from that. But another good one, didn't make my list, but it's a very good record. I enjoy it a lot. Number 9, Rob, what do you got?
Number 9, I have Bremerton Gray by Hot Spring Water. I have a side note that I want to explore a little bit about this title, but I was trying to think about how would I classify Hot Spring Water, because I think when the last record came out, comparisons to Southern rock were thrown around, and I don't really kind of fit it into that same niche. To me, it's like a combination of there's a lot of it that feels like 70s-ish. Definitely, it's not as heavy as this other stuff, but there's also a bit of early '90s Northwest band to me that kind of creeps in, especially with like the vocal approach. Um, I think the album is. I mean, I think everything that Tony Reed touches is has some sort of magical seasoning to it, and I think this is no exception. Every time there's a song, it'll start off. I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. I'm like, is this really my kind of song? And then he'll do something in it, like it'll go to chorus or a bridge, or he'll change uh, the key for the solo, and he has some really cool guitar solos in there that are really tasteful. They're not necessarily like shredding up and down the neck, but man, do they fit perfectly into the songs. And so I really think this is. I mean, he is such a musically gifted individual. I'm jealous that you guys got to interview him. I'm kind of curious about the spelling of Grey, the Grey. I've seen this more and more often. I'm wondering why we're using the British spelling of Grey.
Interesting.
It makes sense to me why the Canadians would use it because they use the British spelling of things, but I'm not sure why it's creeping into us. I noticed that I'm going to give a little plug for Todd Severin's book here, his Deadly Vision book, which I'm almost finished with. He spelled it Grey as well. I'm kind of curious about this, so
that's something to investigate. I didn't even catch that. We'll have to ask Tony. He's so gracious. Hopefully, he'll come on our show again, and we can ask him. Two records that Hot Spring Water remind me of: the Umbilicus record from a couple of years ago. Those guys, like, they always called it like a Stoner Doobie Brothers, and I think it kind of falls into that kind of territory. And then that Years After record. I don't know if you guys remember that Years After record. Another really good one that you can kind of put in that. It doesn't belong in stoner rock. It doesn't belong in psych rock. It doesn't belong in doom, but it belongs for whatever reason it belongs, whether it's the guys playing it or it just kind of fits in that kind of underground rock side of it, but it's definitely more along the lines of, like, say, that 70s rock stuff that's not like your real heavy stuff. So just really, really killer stuff. And Tony just kind of mentioned it on our show, and then the next thing you know, it's like pre-order's up and it's being sent. And it was in my house. Like, I feel like it happened very quickly. Very good. Excellent. My number 9 is Rat King by Holy Roller. They're heavy, they're melodic. They give me total 90s kind of post-hardcore Helmet Quicksand vibes. Shout out to Jay, who is a 90s music freak, from Holy Roller. I love the record. I think that it almost sounded like when we interviewed them that they were concerned that people were not going to give them a chance, which was an interesting kind of point of view, because to me, I hear that record, I'm like, holy shit, people are going to love what they hear here. But I think again, these are, I could move up and down the scale here of where these records belong, but Holy Roller, Rat King, excellent stuff. Really, really dig that record. And I still think that the Rat King on the shirt I have looks like the trash monster from Fraggle Rock. But people can tell me if I'm wrong or not, but I continually, every time I wear that shirt, I'm like, trash monster, Fraggle Rock. The Trash King has spoken, yeah. Anyway, number 9, that's my Holy Roller, Rat King. Turbo, number 8.
Holy Roller kind of is an album that I've listened to them probably a lot that didn't make this list. It kind of got squeezed out. But yeah, I love that album. Number 8 is what you mentioned earlier, Witch Rot, Soul Seller. Leah's vocals, I want to call her like the Etta James of Doom. I just love her voice on this album. And the addition of Patrick on keyboards kind of helps round out their sound.
Yeah.
It fits perfectly into it. It's not like it's something that stands out, or it's like, oh, why did they add this? Because it's takes away from something, or it's just annoying. But yeah, it all fits in there together. Sounds great.
Yeah, I would agree with that statement. And I think, yes, the addition of Patrick full time in the band is a huge plus for them. Very well placed keys in that record, I would say. Cool. Glad you got that one on your list too. Rob, how about you at number 8?
Well, speaking of well-placed keys, and I've made no secret that I'm not a keyboard guy.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely cool stuff out there with the organ, and I have a V28 gold at my number 8 spot. Um, I think we had some exchange about this in the past where I struggle sometimes trying to describe a band's sound or an artist's sound without comparing it to some other band. But at the same time, that's how we let other people know how they might like something. And so sometimes I try and think of what other band or artist out there do I think would make a good pairing for a live show. And for Z28, I think Germany's Wedge would be a really good pairing with them. I think they have a very hard rocking approach to most of the stuff. They both incorporate organ into music. I think that an audience that likes one band would probably like the other one as well. I really dig the Z28 album.
Very good. Another good choice. Organ, yeah. Gets me every time personally. My number 8, Turbo mentioned it, Hexecutioner, Tornit. We had Aaron and Bryce on the show talking about the record. Again, not a bias here. We'll talk about why this is not a bias in a little bit, I promise you. But love the Hexecutioner record, love how heavy it is. Can't wait to get the record. Those guys are nice enough to send us CDs. Thank you so much for that. But yeah, there's not too much more I can say about this except it's freaking heavy and you should go and listen to it. And two people make a lot of noise on that record. So Aaron and Bryce, shout out to them. Record is excellent. My number 8, Hexecutioner, Tornit. And also, the keychain you sent is the only keychain I'm currently using. So thank you for that as well. Turbo, we're into number 7. What's going on? What do you got at 7?
Excuse me, pardon me. Frankie and the Witchfingers, trash classic. LA band. To me, I mentioned this on a show, I guess, was released. I don't know if it was released yet or not. Where the sound on this album is kind of like taking Devo and Cheap Trick and putting them in a blender. And then you said, maybe add 60s garage band sound to it. Which, yeah. But yeah, to me, it's a killer album. I love all their stuff. And it seems like they changed just a little bit, but it's still core their sound, but they have a little bit more influence from other things. But yeah, solid album. That's
Levitation has a lot of really cool bands that they grab and do like vinyl variants of, and this is one of them. I think I learned about Frankie and the Witchfingers from both you, Turbo, and Levitation, having them having one of their records that they were selling. But I really dig that record too. It didn't make my list, but it's a really, really good one. Number 7 we're already at. Rob, what do you got?
7 is another one that's already been mentioned. I had Under a Black Sun by Miss Lava. This was one of the first albums that I received of the quarter, and my first listen to it was on vinyl, which is how it should be listened to. And I'm listening to it and, man, how could this not be my number 1? Because I really loved it right out of the gate. I think it's a little different from their last album. I think I made a comment after first listening to it that I feel like they started channeling a little bit of their inner King Buffalo. It's got kind of that sort of dreamy approach to a lot of lyrics, but there's a lot of cool riffs that sort of develop over the course of the song, which is one thing that King Buffalo does really well, is they'll take like a theme and then develop it and it changes slightly, but it's still all based on the same thing throughout the song. And I think that's present some in the Miss Lava album as well. I think that anyone sleeping on this album is missing out on something really special.
Very good. I will go to my number 7, another Ripple album. Crystal Spiders, Metanoia. Brenna, who is a force of nature herself, has now, I believe, found her band with the guys that she's brought on, Aaron and Reed. Reed bringing like this like new wave of British heavy metal kind of metal guitar to it. Aaron just being like this multi-instrumentalist guy who can bring a lot of stuff to this, to what they're doing. To me, and still involving Mike Dean involved in the production and the recording here. I think Crystal Spiders has found the combination to kind of make them like this top tier band in the scene. Not that they weren't before, but I think they kind of took that step with songwriting, the playing, and now the guitar work. This is a next step up for Crystal Spiders. So my number 7 is Metanoia by Crystal Spiders. I think we might hear about that one again. But let's go to Turbo at number 6, please.
Number 6 will be Goya in the Dawn of November. Band out of Arizona. They're on Blues Funeral, right?
That's correct.
It's just, we talked about them recently also on the show. Happy music, depressing lyrics.
You mentioned that to me the other day, and the album that jumps out at me, and I used to tell people this all the time, and I think our buddy Chris is a fan, but I don't know if you guys are, but Life of Agony's second record, Ugly, is like filled with these happy guitar riffs by Joey Z, and just the most depressing lyrics you could ever possibly listen to. So I get that. I definitely hear that. I think Type O did that too sometimes, and you hear tons of Type O comparisons with this record where they would be just really funny and the music would just be just dragging you into the gutter. I think it's too low, Turbo, but we'll talk about that later, having it at number 6. But that's a great choice. I'm glad you had it on your list. It's an excellent record.
Every time I look at the cover, it makes me think of something out of Game of Thrones. Like I feel like there's supposed to be a White Walker that comes out of that cover or something. It's always interesting. I like songs. I do like. This is not on my list, but I do like music that has a weird juxtaposition of either like really upbeat melodies and really dark lyrics, or the flip side, as you were just talking about. I think that makes the song really interesting. If it sounds like it's supposed to be a depressing song, but the lyrics are all light and enjoyable, or the other way around, and you're like, "Hey, let's all dance to this. What is this?" Yeah.
Right.
Excellent choice. You will absolutely be hearing about that record again a little bit later on. Number 6 for Rob is what?
Ken by Mooch. Boy, these guys are working hard. Another Canadian band, another band that you had on the show from Montreal. This is their third album in like 3 years, right? Maybe even less than 3 years. And they've been cranking out top-notch stuff. And I got to tell you, they are on the ball when it comes to shipping stuff out as well. So I feel like they must be a group of talented musicians who accidentally found each other somehow. And I know that, didn't they tell you that one of them moved across the country? Is that the right band? Am I thinking of the right band?
They're from Montreal, but that one guy moved to Yellowknife or something. Which is like in the Yukon, I think, or some way farther out west. And so the fact that they're able to stay together and still make music and even perform live is great, because I think this is a talented young band, and I kind of wish I was able to play some higher. There's a lot of stuff on here that I wish I wanted to place it higher, but what would I kick? Right.
I too have Mooch at number 6. Kin by Mooch. Another band we had on the show, as Rob mentioned. We had Ben and Julian on the show. To me, they have the single of the year so far. And I'm not saying song of the year, but like if a song was released at a certain time as a single, would it have been a huge hit? And that song is Hang Me Out by them. That song is the catchiest little 90s ditty that I've heard in a very long time. And it was funny because we had this moment where I'm like, we talked about Canadian bands, which, again, another segment Turbo loves, where I mentioned the band Sloan. And Sloan to me is like Cheap Trick of the 90s, 2000s, like they're like my Cheap Trick. No one does power pop better than those guys. And they're like, yeah, somebody told me that we sound like, that song sounds like Sloan. I'm like, validation right there. But I love the Mooch record. Again, also agree with you that I would have loved to have seen it a little higher on my list, but I'm looking at my list and there was nothing I could do there. But
yeah.
Those guys know we love them, and that record's amazing. I have not gotten my vinyl yet. I'm looking forward to it. It should be here shortly. Canadian shipping has been my nemesis the last couple of weeks. But yeah, Mooch, Kin, love that album. We are heading swiftly towards our top 5. Turbo.
Now, I was trying to look something up, and it's taking me too long. So my number 5 is Crystal Spiders. Just I can't, whatever you've already said about them. I was
I'll
looking
put you
to
on my back for this one. That's fine.
but yeah, bringing those vocals are killer on here. And I posted a song earlier in the week, which nobody paid attention to, where I want to say it's 21, where there's a spot in there where she gets a squeak out of her vocals. It's like Mary Clayton does on "Gimme Shelter," and it's just killer. No, well, screw it.
It's a really good record.
But
I
yeah,
agree
it's
with
filled with great vocals, heavy solos, and just good heavy stuff.
Agree. Excellent choice. Turbo. Number 5 for Rob.
Is also Metanoia by Crystal Spiders.
All right. 3 for 3.
I really dig heavy music that has really great, clear, soaring female vocals or dreamy female vocals. Either way, I think that is a great combination. And this album has my favorite guitar tone of the quarter on it. It's a really like dirty, nasty guitar tone that I really dig. I've obviously got albums ranked higher, but this album hits the I don't know, it makes like the hair of my arm stand up when I hear that guitar tone.
I haven't told you guys this yet, but we're going to do like some kind of like formula and put out what our top 12 is combined. I don't know what it's going to look like yet, but I mean, having it all on all 3 of our lists will, be kind of top points where they ranked. I'm open to suggestions on how to do this, but I'd like to put out our combined top 12 of the quarter. More to follow on that. I'll go with my 5, which is definitely not on either of your lists. It's by a band who has not put out an album in 21 years. A band that I have loved. Came too late. Came to after they had already broken up. And could not have been more excited that they were back together. The band is McCluskey. The album is called The World Is Still Here and So Are We. It's post-punk, heavy, clever lyrics, warped sense of humor. The Clash does Nirvana, does like hardcore punk. The McCluskey's sound is just so great to me. I'm so happy that they could be a band again. And this album did not disappoint. It can hang with their other 3 that they released back in the 90s and early 2000s. McCluskey, The World Is Still Here and So Are We. If you don't have this or have not heard it, please check it out. I've mentioned it, kind of try to mention it on every show I possibly can, that I can get a McCluskey, snippet in, because I think people sleep on that band, especially people who like heavy 90s stuff. Anyway, check out the new McCluskey record. Hopefully people will, and they'll understand the genius of that band. Top 4, Turbo.
Another one that should probably give me shit for being too low. Lorquin's Admiral, which is self-titled. Argonauta is the label. It's mishmash of stoner royalty, I guess you could say, made up of all these different bands. Dandy and Don Brown, swapping out vocals on it. Dave from Hermano and Luna Souls, guitars, solos. His guitar tone is killer on this. It's just a beautiful album. And I see both of you are going to gang up on me here.
No. First of all, Rob doesn't have it yet because I don't have it. I don't have the vinyl. It doesn't the physical media is not here yet. You should, Rob. Oh my God, it's killing. I will tell you that it's my number 13 because I didn't have enough time to spend with it. And what I also haven't told you yet, Turbo, is that on Sunday, April 27th, we're going to have the band on the show to interview. So I talked to Dandy, and they're going to come and they're going to hang out with us, and we're going to talk to that band. Did I say July? Did I say April?
You said April.
July 27th. I don't even know what's going on. July 27th, they're going to be on the show. It's a Sunday. What the fuck, April? Holy shit. Anyway, yes, Lorquin's Admiral is an excellent record. Just missed my list. If you probably asked me to do this in a couple of months, it will probably be in my top 3. So anyway, we are at your number 4, Rob.
Evermold by Evermold.
Evermold.
This album kicks ass. It's a great album for exercising, and once again, it has really good guitar tone. It's not as good as Crystal Spider's guitar tone, but it has the crunchiness that really, like, I don't know, it's like a junk food for me that I just want to keep eating it. And the more I get into the album, the more I'm sitting there thinking, man, this is really good stuff. And I know it popped up on 2 or 3 places all at the same time on the Twixters, and so I'm not sure who first mentioned it. And I was kind of skeptical because I was like, Evermold, that's kind of an odd name, and I don't know what to think of that. And I listened to it, and they got me the CD very quickly, considering it came from Poland, which is where the band is from. There's actually, I think there must be a pretty good scene in the town that they're from, and I'm hesitant to try and pronounce the town. I looked up how you're supposed to pronounce it. It's Wroclaw, and I saw 2 different pronunciations that sounded different to me, and so I don't even want to insult them by attempting. But I've seen multiple bands out of that town, so I'm thinking there must be something going on there.
It's another one I forgot.
have not spent enough time with that record. I'm going to have to spend more time.
Yeah, it's good.
It's a great album, and I'm pissed that I forgot about it.
I have not spent enough time with it. All right. My top 4 is where it got really, really tough for me. Because anybody who knows me will say, holy shit, Rich, I can't believe you're putting this band at number 4. But again, let's say anything that I'm going to mention in my top 4 could have been number 1. My number 4 is Astro Voyager Volume 1 by Kal-El. It's hard for me to say that it's my number 4 because I love the record so much. Kal-El rules. This record rules. Nothing sounds like Kal-El. The vocals are still amazing. It's a full-on story that we're going to get a part 2 of, and I have 6 different color versions of this record. So
how do you have 6 different versions of an album that you didn't rank number 1?
Yeah, I know. This hence me. You know, I mean, it's like a 4-way tie for first here. But anyway, I love Kal-El. Astro Voyager Volume 1 is an amazing record. Top 3, Turbo.
Yeah, holy shit, Rich. How can that be? That's your number 1. Which is going to be interesting because my top 3 have already been mentioned, so I'm interested to see what you got going on. Number 3 for me is Mooch, Ken. It's heavy psych. I can't really say anything else other than what y'all have already said. Go check it out. Listen to it. It's great. It's awesome.
Agree. Mooch is excellent.
And I stole
Great
their
choice.
song for the intro to our...
Yes.
even though it's only 5 seconds and it's off and it really annoys me, but...
I think after 5 seconds I might get in trouble, and I'm not even sure I asked those guys to do that. So thank you guys
I'm the one that
for allowing us to have this out of your opening. Because before I was using, and I think we only did that because I was trying out the YouTube thing and I wasn't doing very well at it, and I just kind of had that as a clip and it worked. So yeah, great choice, Turbo, for your number 3.
You know, that album, that album cover is what I noticed. There's a bunch of albums out there over the last like 4 or 5 years that all have this theme of like a circle that either looks like a black hole or a planet, or in some cases is something descending onto it. I know that there was a Cranium album that had the circle on it. I think that who was the other band that I was mentioning? But I brought this up before, and when I saw this, I was like, another album. I was like, is there something about circles? Are they coming? Or what's the deal? Okay, so number 3.
I mean, they do have the theory now that we're all living in a black hole. So,
well, I'm not sure I have cogent arguments against that. Number 3 is a band that you just had on your show. It's Woodhawk's Love Finds a Way. Another band where, again, I am not a keys guy, but they do it well. And the fact that, I mean, whenever there's keys involved, I would like it to be organ or maybe a Rhodes piano, which sounds really cool, and some bluesy stuff. I'm not a fan of synths, but the Woodhawk album is really good, and there's a lot of it where I'm thinking. I know a lot of people have probably mentioned Deep Purple when they talk about this album, like especially from the '70s. I think of earlier Uriah Heep when I'm listening to this album, but maybe a little catchier in the melody department than Uriah Heep ever was. The vocals are completely different, but the feel of the song kind of hits that same chord with me. Um, Great band from Canada. I don't know what they're doing in Canada, but keep it up.
So melodic, and love the fact that Turner is like a huge hardcore fan. Every time I asked him about a band and influence, he'd be like, "Every Time I Die," "Better Lover." Like I tried to get him to say something like a band that sounded like Woodhawk, and we just kept going down that path, which was wonderful for me. And then I throw out a comparison to the '90s band Law and Order, where everyone just looks at me like, what are you talking about?" But I personally think that they have a little bit of that going on. Love that record. Really good stuff. My number 3 had been mentioned by you, Rob. This is the Dead Shrine record. Craig's number 2 is Dead Shrine. It's great. I think the first Dead Shrine record was in my top 10 of the year it came out. This one probably will be somewhere, depending on what happens. I mean, we're only halfway through the year, and it's at number 3 for a quarter, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, Dead Shrine. Love everything Craig Williamson touches. We are in the top 2 now, Turbo. What do you got for your number 2?
Ox. AAWKS.
We always have to spell it, because between your twangy Tennessee and my Long Island, lived in Florida for 25 years accents, neither of us can probably say it the way a proper Canadian can. So
Yeah, this album, it's I call it a fun record. I don't. For me, it's hilarious. It's awesome. It's great. It's great mind expanding space rock, but it's just some of the parts to it, which are serious. But to me, the way they do it and everything, it just makes it great, and it makes it, in a way that I say fun. I don't mean I'm laughing at it or anything like that. It's just I enjoy it. And also the fact that the bass player that does the growls, in my mind,
what character?
in my mind, the first thing that pops up is Cheech Moran. So every time he does it, I'm picturing Cheech Moran.
He's such a character. Yeah. I think you're hearing fun, yes, but I think the fact that we talked to them and they were of that mindset probably helps to get that kind of fun aspect in there. And I love how they kind of throw like riffs of famous songs just randomly in the middle of songs and kind of tell you, go find these. It's fun. I love that record. Really good stuff. Good choice, Turbo, number 2. Rob, you're number 2.
Also, Ox, they like cats, so I like them because I like cats.
That's fair. That's a fair reason.
If we had done a top 20, they would have been on my list. Number 2 is not heavy. Well, I should say it's not heavy. It's not heavy in the ways that you traditionally think of heavy, but it certainly does rock and roll a lot. And that's A1 by Dusty Rose Gang. This is another album that could have come straight out of the '70s. I mean, this one even more than what I talked about previously is like guitar straight into the amps. You don't need a whole lot of effects messing with your signal, and it comes out so beautifully clean and not muddy at all. I gotta say that this it's on Riding Easy, right?
Yep.
Between it being on Riding Easy and the sound of it and the look of the band on the cover, I checked like 3 times to make sure this wasn't some old record that Riding Easy had dug up, because it sure sounds like it. I was like, this is new stuff. Yeah. But if this had been released in like 76, 77, this would have been a hit record, I think. At least amongst those who swallowed up in the disco.
I think so. Yeah, I'm with you. It's a great record. Riding Easy has found this like niche of retro can be such a negative word, but like they find these old records, then they have bands like Magic Potion, Dusty Rose Gang, but also like Zigzags. Zigzags doesn't exist in this 2025 today. They exist in like the Bay Area thrash and
Yeah.
in like late 70s punk. Like there's this whole kind of retro thing that Riding Easy does like better than almost anybody else does. Great roster, and I love all those records that they find that they put out. Such cool stuff. That's
And I
the
would
other
like to
thing.
point out, that this is a band that you have not yet had on your show.
We've tried, and did not get a response yet from old Dusty. Hopefully, at some point, Dusty will jump and want to see the light and come see us on the show. Yeah, great choice. Excellent. I didn't realize you liked that record as much as you did, Rob. That's,
It is really good.
cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. My number 2 has been mentioned already. It's Goya, In the Dawn of November. Obviously, a sucker for anything that sniffs typo negative. But I think it's too easy to say typo negative. And one thing that Turbo did not mention that I will mention is that Jack and Dino produced it. You don't see Jack and Dino jump into the stoner doom scene all that often, but his fingerprints and fingertips are all over the sound of this record. I think you get Tad, I think you get early Soundgarden, I think you get some of that, early Seattle sound that Jack practically invented. And I'm not just kissing his ass because I'm in negotiations trying to get him to come on the show right now. But just look at the stuff he's done, and you'll understand why and how important he was to the music that we all love. And having him be a part of that record just made it even better. So if you don't like typo negative and you're saying, "Oh, it's just a typo negative band," it's way more than that. If you like heavy, like the Seattle scene, early stuff, and just as Turbo mentioned, happy, depressing doom, just great stuff. Goya, In the Dawn of November, and don't judge the Goya records of before on what this Goya record is. It's a different band these days. Not that the old stuff wasn't good, because I love the old stuff, but this is different, and different in a very good way. So we are into our number ones, and I can definitively tell you my number 1 has not been talked about. I was sure that was going to be the case. But Turbo, what is your one? And I have an idea what it might... No, you said it was already mentioned, didn't you?
Yeah, and why did you think it was... Oh, I didn't put that one because it's an EP, and I thought we were doing EP separate.
That's not what I thought your number 1 was going to be. But we'll
What?
talk about that afterwards.
Oh, Kal-El, Astro Voyager Volume 1.
Yay.
Yeah, the Fuzz Master Supreme band.
Thank you. You made up for my, even that out. So I appreciate you having that record number 1. Can't wait for number 2 because I'm a greedy son of a bitch and can't get enough Kal-El. But yeah, love
Obviously.
that record. Thank you for confirming that. I'll tell you what I thought your 1 was after. Rob, what do you got for your number 1 of Q2 of 2025?
I thought for sure this would be the quarter where we all had the same number 1, and so I'm very disappointed in you, Rich, because it's Kal-El.
I'm the only one who likes my number 1. So anyway, why did you like the new Kal-El record that I loved also?
Well, there's 2 things about it. Number 1 is I mentioned sometime this last week that there is a song that I think might unseat Third Street Shuffle for my pick for Song of the Year. It's Void Cleaner. Because
Great song.
that song, and this album in general, but that song passes what I've decided to call the kitchen moshing test. If I'm like doing something in the kitchen when this is playing, things around me might break. Because there's no way to not listen to it and have your body react to it. And driving is also a little bit of a hazardous thing in traffic because that song that rips. I kind of wish that I won't say anything negative about it because it is definitely my number 1 of the quarter, and their songwriting for heavy music is unmatched.
Agree. I'm not sure how you couldn't rank them at like the top of the bands that we talk about here. I feel like if you did like the top list, they would have to be somewhere near that just for the full body of work and just how awesome everything they put out is. My number 1 And if you have been paying attention to me and the things I talk about and the band that I've listened to this record the most, we had Jake from the band on the show. It's Black Honey Cult's self-titled debut record. I understand why people might not love this record. I personally am a huge Velvet Underground, Modern Lovers fan, 13 Floor Elevators fan, and this falls right into that wheelhouse. I love how they unabashedly just steal from the Velvet Underground and 13 Floor Elevators and bands like that on this record, but make it their own. The organ, the songwriting, and just it makes me yearn. And since I've listened to this album, I've actually now gone back and had kind of a resurgence of my love of the Velvet Underground too. I just love the record, and thanks for Jake for coming on the show. Totally different from Lords of Altamont, but also when you now know that it's Jake from Lords of Altamont, you can start to hear some of what he has and what he does there. So my number one is the album that the Strokes should have made after Is This It? Black Honey Cult. Black Honey Cult. Excellent stuff. A killer quarter. Now, I thought, Turbo, your number one was going to be our friend from Zed. Our bass player friend from Zed.
Yeah.
I thought the Magnum Dopus was going to be your number one. It was right there for me to be on my list, but it was just, I had to edge it out.
Yeah, it got edged out. I love this album, but
a great record. Aceves, Magnum Dopus, excellent record. A couple other ones that went just barely missed. The Lorquins Admiral record. I had Woodhawk right there as well. And another record that you guys haven't mentioned, and if anyone whoever doesn't like long songs is not going to like this one, Lifted from the Wind by Temple Fang. I really dig the Temple Fang record as well. Any other ones that you had kind of as just right there but didn't quite make it that you, off the top of your head, you want to mention?
Well, other than Goopa being an EP that I thought, I wasn't sure if I should include that or not.
I think that actually got released this month.
Yeah, that's in July. So you can next.
You
can next quarter.
All right. Then Swamp Lord, Yohimbo, those two. Of course, the Quintana, which we discussed the other day, I think. Or was that online?
We were chatting about that. Yeah,
okay.
We were chatting about the Quintana record.
The Komatsu, was that this quarter?
Yeah. Now you got me thinking.
I forgot. I think that came out like early April.
Yeah.
But I forgot. But I forgot about the Black Honey Cult. That was another album I forgot about. So,
yeah.
So oops.
The feedback I've been given on that, I think people just don't hear the riffs and they want to hear riffs and they don't hear the riffs on that. And it's like, it doesn't connect with me. Well, I'm a different kind of guy. What can I say? Rob, anything that you had that you think?
Yeah, there's I could probably put it together another top 12 list of stuff that we haven't mentioned that I dig. I like the Paralyzed record, Rumble and Roar. I know there's a lot of people that make comparisons. I assume it's primarily based on its vocals. I don't think it's as close to a ripoff as some might characterize it as.
If you can get past that tinge of Morrison, then it's. Yeah. But it is.
At one point,
it's a killer album.
At one point, they the Satisfaction riff is there.
Oh, they did make a good Stone song.
Clearly. Anyway, I enjoyed that record as
well. I know it didn't click with you, but I like the Lopan record, Get Well Soon.
Yeah.
Because I dig the Tool stuff.
This was Chevelle, not Tool.
What's that?
This was Chevelle, not Tool.
No, it's totally Tool. It's I like the Zigzags record. One that we haven't mentioned. This was an EP. Was the Blood Horse EP on the Lion Star. I think that's really good, especially as it progresses. The last song on it is really, really cool.
Very short.
It is very short. That's my biggest beef with it. It's too short. Solstice by the Elven is a different kind of record. It feels like every song on that album is a different style. It's very interesting musically. I like the Black Water Hoylite album. That's kind of more of a dreamy, atmospheric kind of thing. Um, Candlemass EP is pretty darn good. Their cover of Sabbath Bloody Sabbath is pretty good on it too. I dig the Ravine record a lot. Just came out on Ripple. I know the vocals won't be for everybody, but man, the guitar playing on it is cool. And they also have a good guitar tone, and they have interesting stuff going on, especially as the songs progress. So I've got a lot of stuff that's like on. Oh, the Mesa record too.
Yeah, I was just about to mention the Mesa record. Yeah, it's. I talked a lot about that on our show and another show that I was invited to about Mesa, and to me, it's their best record. And a lot of people are like, "You're crazy! It's not their best record." But to me, that is their best record. And I think maybe I overtalked it and didn't add it to the list for whatever reason. But that's a good record too. I also have to call out, and this is very, very mainstream now, which is weird, but the new Turnstile record, Never Enough, I freaking love it. I love the band Turnstile, and I know they're huge now, but yeah, it's Turnstile. They're great. That would be another one that I would mention that you might not think you would hear about on this show, but maybe you would, because I try to sneak in all my hardcore stuff all the time. All right. Cool. Q3 started off pretty strong in July. You mentioned the Guapa record. How do you say that?
Guapa?
Guapa? Yeah,
Guapa.
Guapa record.
Cat.
Cat record. I am in love with the Adam Juice record. Another one that I will be in love with, but the kind of jangly psych fans might not be. The Hibernaut record will be on my list, I think, towards the end of the year, and the Sheev record, I know we've chatted a little bit. We're going to get the new Marguerite Rich Cult, Heavy Katana, some good stuff coming out in July. A new Baracho in August, which is also killer. And I will also say the new Basque record is mind-blowing. It is unbelievable, the new Basque record. Turbo, I'm not sure if you had a chance to hear that one yet, but
Yeah, I've heard it several times.
yeah, it's
But-
really, really, really good.
I'm waiting for my vinyl to arrive.
Turbo's taking a little time with it. Me, myself, I probably oversold it a little bit, but it's excellent.
It's like
Anyway.
I don't know. I like the Turtle Skull album better than the Adam Juice album.
Ooh, interesting. That is an argument that we'll have to have on our next show. The Turtle Skull record is really good, but I give the Adam Juice a kind of a step up there. Anyway, this has been fun. We are going to do some
Before you
list.
sign off,
Yes.
CD Jesus album. CD
What's
Jesus is coming.
CD
Yes,
Jesus.
CD Jesus is coming, and it is so much on the way that we have shipping notifications for the vinyl. I don't know if you got yours, but also have you listened to it, because it is available.
No.
It is available
No,
to
he won't
listen
listen
to
to it.
on Bandcamp. Just
Not
in
until he
case you
has a
wanna give it
vinyl.
chance.
That's
I
right.
know. I thought maybe you give stuff a try before it.
Well, it
Right,
depends.
okay.
Like this quarter, I did with the Wizzo because it was coming up on the deadline. If I've got time still, I'll wait till I get the vinyl before I listen to it. If it's a band that I'm like really got a personal attachment to, and the deadline is looming, I will go ahead, because I've already purchased it. I will download it and listen to it. Like I would, like the other one that the new Solace record has me excited too.
All right. Cool.
You
Well,
brought up something we didn't discuss, but I want to quickly touch on that. Is our bias towards bands?
our
that
bias, yes. Before we,
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody other than us three that listen to music more. Not the fact that we listen to a lot of different bands, but an album itself. I know I listen to most of these albums at least 10 times or more before, I come to a full conclusion on how I feel about them. So it has more to do with me just enjoying. We just picked the right music,
yeah.
where
You're right, Turbo, and I don't it's not like bands are calling me up and asking me to be on the show, or asking to be on the show. Like, I listen to something and I'm like, I want to have them on the show because I really like that album, or I like that band and I know their stuff that they're going to put out is going to be great, so I'd like to have them on the show. So I think it just kind of naturally happens that way. There are bands who were on the show that didn't make the list because we only have 12 to be on the list. I have some bands that were not on the show that were on my list, but I think like we do this show because we want to talk to and help in the little tiny way we can promote the bands that we really like. And the fact that they're the ones who are putting the music out that we like the best, it's just because, you know, that's what we like and that's who we invite. So, yeah, but maybe we're biased too. I don't know. I mean, us explaining that we're not biased is probably promoting some kind of bias. I don't know. I sat in a room at one of the like top companies in the world when I was with my old company, and debated bias with like these like engineers, and I just wanted to go to sleep. Like, I just wanted to go in a room and not have this conversation. So, but it makes a lot of sense for this call because you could look at our list and you could say, those are all bands that you're on the show. So you're just promoting the ones that came on your show and said yes. I will also tell you that, and I'm not saying this because I'm some major promoter, but like 90% of the bands that I ask, they come on the show because it's a cool scene. These bands are awesome people. They want to promote their music. They want to talk about their music. Well, they want to bullshit with us about music that they love. And it just kind of happens that way. And also, if I want to put the bands on my list that come on the show, I'm going to do it so you can like it or not like it too. That's a whole other thing. But
You say
all
bias.
those records are killer. What's that, Rob?
You say bias. I say preference.
There you go. Preference. Bias.
Bias
I don't
is
care. I like what I like. And Turbo likes what he likes. And Rob likes what he likes. And we're like, I don't know. When I do the full report of our lists, I don't know, we're probably 60% similar, right? Around that, maybe?
a lot of crossover.
Yeah, there's a lot of crossover, but we also definitely complement each other on the things that we bring to the table and bands that we like and bands that we try to push and bands that we get become fans of because of the interactions with you guys and all the people in the community. So anyway, this is a long episode, as usual, for our quarterly episode. But I want to thank you, Rob, for coming on the show.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you, Rob.
Turbo, as usual, it's been a pleasure. I'm looking at our list of interviews, and I've already kind of given a few away that are coming up, but I have 9 interviews that are coming up. One of them is with one of the greatest guitarists in the scene and one of the busiest guys outside of Tony Reed. Little teaser there. And some other bands that you might know, you might not know, you might be hearing about that are going to come and chat with us. So we are very lucky to have some very cool bands, people who hook us up with these bands, and just we're overall very lucky to have this show and be a part of this community. So thank you, Rob, thank you, Turbo. I hate doing it, but like and subscribe so you can hear more of this stuff, because you know that's how this thing keeps going.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, man.